Hello, I'm here with Mark Hillary, and tonight we are obviously at the Ronan MacManus gig for the album launch. So, what is your part in here tonight?
Well, I am a professional blogger, and and I'm a friend of Ronan's as well. I quite often help him to actually improve his online profile, help him to get more of an audience for his music.
And obviously, you're doing that online. Is it Twitcast you're using tonight?
Yeah, he's kind of focus for his community is really Facebook. So building up a big Facebook audience, because clearly, if you can build up thousands of people in one place that you can communicate with as an artist, then you only need to make a few pounds per year out of each fan. But tonight, the really big thing is trying to get this gig streamed live. We've been working with Twitcasting, which is a Japanese live streaming app. And it's been really interesting and exciting because, we don't know how many people are going to tune in tonight to watch it, but we know that a couple of days ago when they were just in a pub rehearsing, testing the songs, and about 600 people tuned in just to hear them rehearsing. So, that's more than we would expect to even come to watch the show live. So hopefully it's even bigger.
So how would you kind of describe the atmosphere online? Because obviously I'm a gigger, so I'm kind of the type of person who goes, stands in the pit like, yay, music, and I need that connection. But obviously you're more into like the social media side and broadcasting it out there. So how would you kind of describe the viewing from a Twitcast kind of link?
Yeah, I think that there's two angles to that. I agree that I went and sat in the cinema and watched the U2 3D live movie, and when you watch a show on a cinema screen, it's not the same as being there in the audience. Yeah. And I think that's similar to this, but there's certain artists that are difficult to see live. Ronan's based in London. He has toured around America, and he was in Brazil a couple of months ago. But clearly, he might not go to Brazil again for another year or 2 years. It gives the fans a way to experience the new songs, without actually needing to come to London. But I think that what artists are going to start doing is having more exclusive access. So I can imagine, especially for big artists, Taylor Swift is a good example of someone. Yeah, she's massive, but she pulled her music off Spotify.
I know.
But I imagine if she said, you can pay $5 and I'm going to do a live stream from my dressing room 1 hour before the show, then 500,000 people would probably pay a couple of dollars just to sort of hear her talking about the set list. Here's the songs I'm going to do tonight and stuff like that. So I think that there's another whole revenue stream for artists that can come from this kind of live streaming. And it's not necessarily just a stream of the gig. It can be the sound check or the rehearsal or
dressing rooms as well.
The dressing room or the backstage.
Because with me, I'm more of like, I like to see them obviously, but with like the Twitcast, you can obviously see them, you get kind of more of like a personal kind of look rather than just seeing them on stage. You get to kind of go behind the scenes and whatnot. So obviously that's quite good for the viewers, I would assume.
Yeah, I think that this is all linked to the way the music industry is changing, and the artists are having to get more personal, more closely connected to their fans. The only way that they can really make any money these days, because nobody buys records anymore, is the experience of going to a show.
And merch.
Yeah, selling merchandise, but then possibly possibly other fans that are much more remote would pay to see new songs, particularly when you have maybe a new record coming out and those songs are not out there. Then I think you could possibly set up an album launch and show people all over the world those new songs. So there's also basically they have to get clever and think about new ways of making money.
Because I know recently that's been in the news and big music industry is a lot of small venues like, let's say, Leeds Cockpit, they've all closed down. So obviously it's getting a lot harder now for small bands to tour. Yeah. So it's only really kind of helpful for big bands that are already out there to kind of tour like the arenas like Wembley Arena, where the small touring ones can only do like pubs because the big, like the famous gig venues have all closed down.
Yeah, and that's made even harder because a lot of the big tours and the big artists, the support act acts are either not even chosen by the band, or the record company charges bands to be the support. So that's really hard. I mean, how do you do that as a small act? And I know Ronan's band is supporting Public Image Limited in December. So again, that's a great thing for them to be a support act at the O2. A big venue, and hopefully just puts him in front of a few more people.
And obviously, you do blogging for the Huffington Post as well, but you also live in Brazil, so I'm assuming you get to tour a lot as well and visit different countries and kind of see the world that way and blog about your experiences on that.
Yeah, I mean, I write blogs, but I write books about blogging as well. So I do a lot of stuff to do with promoting the books. I'm going to Belarus this week, talking about work. In the next couple of months, I'll be in France, South Africa, basically all over the place. So talking about how blogs are used, how companies are using blogs, and how people like artists, because essentially artists. Bands are essentially small businesses. I do a lot of work with UKTI and Visit Britain in Brazil, working on British bands that come to Brazil and helping them to do more to promote themselves in South America, because it's great for the bands. They love it if someone helps them to get exposure on TV and in the newspapers and stuff like that. But at the same time, it's great for the diplomats, for the embassy, who are just trying to promote British culture. They want people there to know more about the UK and have a better reason to come and visit. And that's really what I help them to sell is, come to Manchester because you love Joy Division, or go to Liverpool because you love the Beatles, or come to a place like this to see where the Rolling Stones were founded. So this little club here is where the guys from the Who and the Stones and all those old bands actually met and got together. So there's no reason why a place like Ealing couldn't even be on the tourist map for people who love rock music.
I generally think that, well, obviously it's like the start of true British music, so it's the very beginning of like the biggest bands that have been out there, so it's quite like a little treasure chest as such.
Yeah, absolutely. But British music, it's a great export for our country. If you can walk down the street anywhere in the world, I think, and you'll see someone wearing a Beatles T-shirt or a Smiths T-shirt or something, one of these classic great British bands, and there's no other country in the world apart from the USA that has that kind of penetration all over the world.
Because I could imagine, I do listen to quite a lot of undiscovered bands, so I do know from like listening to their music and reviews and whatnot, it's quite difficult for them if they make it a little bit here. It's very difficult for them to go touring elsewhere because of the cost and even to get listens out there. But with like the Twistcast, back again to that, people from all over the world can tune into it and they can get their name out there quicker than going around touring.
Yeah, there's the way that you can use social media to promote yourself, but I think that there is also a network of musicians who appreciate each other in different countries. Certainly in Sao Paulo, a friend of mine is Daniel Hunt, who's from Ladytron, the British band, and he's not only a musician but he's a producer, and he helps other artists to tour in Brazil. So you have people like that are from the business themselves and prepared to reach out and help other artists. So I think that now that you have much better discovery tools, people can find similar artists, and essentially there is a network out there. Look at someone like Foy Vance and Ed Sheeran. Ed Sheeran's massive, and he's bigging up a much smaller artist because he actually loves his music.
I think that's how musicians should kind of work together, because they know how hard it is to cut the industry. So they kind of team up. They can kind of help each other out like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Well, thank you. So I think if anyone ever wants to like start a band or know how to work social media in that way, they should definitely hit you up. Thank you again.